So here we are, and another step has been completed. The Chicago Bears continue to move quickly, filling out their staff. And we've just hired our new wide receivers coach, Chris Beatty, who previously filled the same role with the LA Chargers. A source just confirmed this via Courtney Cronin on ESPN. This is a great hire, guys. He's filled the spot with the Chargers for the last 3 years. And man, I think we're continuing to get the best coaches on the market to fill out this staff. Shane Waldron is getting his guys here. Also, this is a benefit and an important thing to note. This is a reunion of sorts. Before joining the Chargers, Beatty was a wide receivers coach for the University of Maryland, where he coached none other than DJ Moore. Beatty was at Maryland from 2016 to 18, which is where Moore played collegiately from 2015 to 17. And this is a great thing. It's certainly not the reason he was hired, but it certainly helps all around, right? He also coached a receiver that's turning into a star, Jordan Addison of the Vikings. And under his direction, Addison won the Bietnikoff Award, and that is for the best wide receiver in college football of that year. And Jordan Addison received that under his tutelage. This is a coach credited as well with developing wide receiver Big Mike Williams. You can trace his breakout season to Beatty's first year on staff in 2021. And let's look at what Big Mike did in that year. If you played fantasy football, you benefited from this year. I know I did. In that year, he caught 76 passes for 1,146 yards. And he also added on to that 9 touchdowns. We've also just seen a resurgent year out of veteran Keenan Allen as well. Man, this is just a good hire. And Williams, he has continued to develop. He has just been really unlucky with injuries. As you know, he's been injured pretty much constantly, but the time that he's been on the field, man, he's been a source. And you can credit Coach Beatty with a lot of that development at wide receiver coach. Little more about him. After a decorated career as a receiver at East Tennessee State, where he set the school record for receiving yards in a career, Beatty, he played in the Canadian Football League for 3 seasons before retiring from his playing career. Beatty's coaching career, it began at high school level in Virginia before he caught on with Hampton University as an offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach in 2006. He worked his way up from there as an offensive assistant from Hampton to Northern Illinois, West Virginia, Vanderbilt, Illinois, Wisconsin. Man, there's a lot of schools here. Virginia and Maryland before he arrived at Pitt. And that's where he coached our own DJ Moore. He rarely spent more than 1 season in one job at one school, but this is a coach who has a serious record when it comes to developing receivers. Over numerous college stops that we just talked about, he's also coached and developed guys like Percy Harvin, that's in high school, Tavon Austin at West Virginia, Jordan Matthews at Vanderbilt. He was a thing for a while. All these players he's developed during his career. He'll be replacing, as you remember, Tyke Tolbert as he followed Getsy out the door recently. Also following him out the door were our quarterbacks coach and running backs coach. So it's kind of cleaning house here. And there's a reason for that. You guys were here. You guys watched it. Man, last year simply was not good enough. Our staff was top heavy, favoring the defensive side, and the player development in that capacity, it has been top notch. And now it's time for the offense to follow suit, right? Now it's time to get it right on offense. And the emphasis Poles and Coach Flus have placed on the next hires, primarily being great teachers, primarily being developers of talent over just X's and O's. I mean, this emphasis, Coach Beatty, he further reinforces this emphasis in real time. And I'm going to say it again. I think this is a fantastic hire. I think we got it right. Bears wideouts. I don't have to tell you this. They've been underwhelming, right? Outside of DJ Moore, it has been bad. And while it's not as if Tolbert had a ton of work to work with over the last 2 years, I mean, that group as a collective, though, they did not perform to their potential. Ideally, you got to think a new voice with some fresh ideas and maybe a different perspective that could help the next crop of Bears receivers level up in a big way. We've had like Darnell Mooney. He regressed over the last year. We have guys like Jones and Scott. I mean, they essentially seem to be good pieces, but they're still raw after all this time. They need a new voice if they're going to amount to anything here. Beatty, I believe he's the perfect choice to do so. This is also a hire that's preparatory for what's to come, right? We have a ton of high draft picks. If you haven't heard, I think you've heard we've been talking about it a ton. This is an absolutely stacked wide receiver class as well. The draft is coming up quickly. This wide receiver room, it's going to definitely grow. It's going to be added to, and it's vital that we're ready to develop them. We have to have the infrastructure and the framework there that is necessary to make sure that we don't repeat these mistakes. BD is a good hire. And it's not just about MHJ. That possibility is huge, but we could also be adding at the 9th pick. We could even add more receivers on day 2 or day 3 as well. And especially if you have later draft picks, they tend to be more raw prospects. And it's even more important that we have the right quarterbacks coach and wide receivers coaches in place that are teachers, that are developers, and not just handy with the playbook. This hiring also, it directly follows the addition of Kerry Joseph at quarterbacks coach. If you look back a couple stories, I think that was a fantastic hire, and that was done exactly a week ago. We're continuing to get the best guy available, just nice hires across the board, and this is showing that good coaches, excuse me, I'm just getting over a cold. Good coaches, Chicago is becoming a bit of a destination. Ike Hilliard, he was the other front runner for the job as well. I didn't hate the choice at all. He has a great history of developing talent as well. But it just looks like Beatty just out interviewed him. His recent record speaks loudly, just like Hilliard's does. It was nice to have a choice. He also comes from an offense that highly values the vertical game. Hello, we've been living in this world of dump offs and flat passes. So that's a welcome change of pace as well. We've got some needs coming up, but the main spots have been filled. We still need a running backs coach. We still need possibly a passing game coordinator. But the main jobs that Waldron needs filled to hit the ground running, they have now been filled, and they've been filled well. And this emphasis on guys like that are mentors and teachers, just consistent across the board. And this figures more into Pohl's general plan. He has this plan. He sticks to it. He hires guys that will execute that plan, and things do not deviate. You guys know my feeling on Fields. You guys know my feeling on Caleb. You know my feeling of the unification of this front office. That not only has Warren given Poles the keys to the car, Poles has also dedicated himself to Coach Flus, good or bad. We can have that decision. And through that, Flus has the autonomy to empower Waldron to go get the guys that he needs. And we are getting the top guys coming into the building. And we also filled a fantastic job spot with Coach Washington joining as our defensive coordinator. So now we get to move forward with an innovative offensive coordinator in place. We have a defensive coordinator that specializes on the defensive line to couple with our coach that specializes in linebacker. Now we just need a fantastic top of the line cornerbacks coach to fill out the field. And man, we are cooking. You guys, let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. As always, leave comments. You guys are not afraid to voice your opinions, and I absolutely love that. I will see you there. We'll continue to chop it up. And hey, we got a lot to look forward to. Bear down, my friends. See ya.